What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here is Legitical Response, where we take debates and we break them down and we look at everything going on and we rebut and refute some of the lies and garbage coming from the Democrats. So if you are down with that, look, my normal videos, this isn't normal. I do these on Saturdays for fun. But if you like to be informed, if you like to see the manipulations of the corporate press, the mainstream narrative machine, the Democrats and Republicans alike, because I don't choose sides too much. If the Republicans do something bad, I'm going to be right there railing against it. However, the vast majority of the refuse coming out of Washington comes from the Democrat Party. So we tend to go in a lot on Democrats, and there's no difference here. So if you want to stay informed and stay up to date on some of this garbage, hit that like button for me if you don't mind. Smash it, because YouTube and the mainstream, they want to keep channels like mine off into a box, and they are doing a pretty good job of this. But you guys could help me out with that. Subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell. That really, really helps. Engage with the video. If you think I'm wrong, right, which I do get stuff wrong, let me know down in the comments section. That would be a great way to interact. If you think I can do something a little bit differently to be a little bit better to serve you guys, let me know down in the comments section. But do me that big favor, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. But let's go ahead and get into the debate, because yeah, they're trying to prop up the Harris administration. So let's see what they're doing here.
On the 60 Minutes interview, Tim, that she did, I would just be concerned if I was a Democrat voter or leaning towards that way. I'd be very concerned about how she answers questions about the economy. She had no answer. I mean, that was an excruciating exchange, and rightly got the mockery it deserved. And that's my issue with Kamala Harris. It's not that she's not intelligent. She obviously is. She's done extremely well with her life as a lawyer, senator, and so on. It's not that she, isn't personable. And it's not that I don't share her vision that we'd all love to feel more joyful. It's how are we going to get to this utopia? And she has single-handedly, throughout all of these exchanges, declined or doesn't know how we're going to get to utopia. Does that not concern you?
Yeah, no, because we're not getting to utopia. We need somebody to run and manage the government, okay, Piers? And so on this question of how she's going to pay for her plans, there isn't a good answer, so she didn't give one. I agree with that. I'm a fiscal conservative. I wish that they would be balancing the budget. But here's the thing. She's running against Donald Trump, whose answer to that question is even more incoherent. Despite Dan's attempt at a history lesson over there, what Donald Trump said was how he was going to pay for his plans was that he was going to tariff China, and we were going to use the tariff money as if it's like a government fee, like we're getting this fee, and that he's going to pay for free healthcare. He's going to pay for childcare. He's going to pay for everything with these magical tariffs. Like, he has no coherent answer on this. And here's the other thing. What is not good for the economy is instability. And Donald Trump is an absolute wreck of a human. We have no idea what he would do in a second term. When he left office, there was a mob of people storming the Capitol trying to attack Congressman Crenshaw. That's what was happening. They were waving his flag. They were storming the Capitol. They were trying to keep him in power. I'm sorry, just let me finish this. Let me finish this.
It's such a strange thing to say.
Let me finish this. No, I'm sorry. This is what happened at the end of his term. And even his own supporters were like, we are concerned that he can't stay in another 14 days. They talked about the 25th Amendment. Dan Crenshaw at the time said that he was on the side of the rioters, that the president was on the side of the rioters. That's what he said. And now, because of that, his own vice president, his own chief of staff, it's not me, it's not somebody that is obsessed with Trump, his own Department of Transportation, Secretary of Defense, all of these people can't support him again because they don't know what he's going to do, because he's so erratic, because he's of such low character. We can't put somebody like that in. That is dangerous for the country, for our democracy, but also for the economy.
Okay, you gotta love how he starts off with this, right? This is one of the most insane answers I think I've ever heard, right? I don't know if you guys caught that because it went by so quickly, but he said she doesn't give good answers because there are no good answers. What? Like, no, dude, there are answers. Donald Trump has those answers, right? He starts talking about tariffs and all this other stuff, but almost immediately he goes to January 6th. What about Trump? Trump is this, Trump is that. Oh, none of his advisors want him back into office. Like, right, exactly. Is that supposed to dissuade us from voting for Donald Trump because the establishment doesn't like Donald Trump? Are you kidding me? Of course they don't like Donald Trump. Of course they're going to have an anaphylactic reaction to Donald Trump. He's coming in and he's disrupting the establishment, and he will actively destroy the establishment. That's what he does. The establishment doesn't like him. We don't like the establishment. So I'm not going to trust the words of some establishment shill that only wants to maintain the machine, for crying out loud. Like, I don't want to live in the pod and eat the bugs. I'm sorry. I love our system. I love our country. I love how the country used to be. It was free. It was open. It was fair. Democrats have gone insane. Democrats have been slowly going insane ever since 2015, ever since Trump came down that escalator. Of course, they were going insane before that, but, you know, it wasn't nearly as pronounced. But these people, they just always have to resort back to Donald Trump. Oh, well, he's a bad character. Yeah, Donald Trump has his flaws. I have no problems saying, yeah, Donald Trump does stuff I don't like. We go over this all the time, right? But that's not going to stop me from voting for him. I really don't like Kamala Harris's policies. Kamala Harris, I'm sure she's a lovely person, nice to be around, even though that's not what we hear coming from all the staffers that quit and go away because they don't like her. However, that's not my opinion. She might be a nice person. I don't want a nice person in the White House. The President of the United States is supposed to be a leader. Kamala Harris is not a leader. I'm sorry. She's not that. Donald Trump, however, is a leader. He's a very good leader. And to say that we don't know what Donald Trump is going to do, oh my God. Wait a minute. We've already seen 4 years of a Donald Trump presidency. And yeah, that was a pretty good presidency. His foreign policy was the best I've ever seen in my entire life. And our economy was exploding at that time. So, yeah, to say he's not a good leader. He created peace all over the place. He didn't start any new wars. And I know a lot of people might say, well, that's a naive take. He didn't start any new wars. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's not a naive take. You got to dig a little bit deeper into that. Why was there no new war started? Maybe because Donald Trump was going all over the place creating peace. We had the Abraham Accords. He crossed the deneutralized zone from South Korea into North Korea without a security detail, showing great trust in these people not to kill him. Right? And they didn't. They shook hands, crossed over, and hey, that toned down Kim Jong-un, little bitty rocket man, right? All before that, we thought there was going to be a nuclear war between us and North Korea because of Donald Trump's rhetoric. But what was the result of that? Yeah, he may have scared a lot of people, but the result was a freaking handshake and a toning down of rhetoric and a backing away. He de-escalated the situation. Can we really say that Kamala Harris would de-escalate what's going on in Israel? De-escalate what's going on in Europe? No, I don't think so. Don't think so. Otherwise, they would have done this already. But, you know, don't take my word for it. Let's keep going with this.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Frankly, I love the American people, and I believe in our country. I love that it is our character and nature to be an ambitious people. You know, we have aspirations, we have dreams, we have incredible work ethic, and I just believe that we can create and build upon the success we've achieved in a way that we continue to grow opportunity and in that way grow the strength of our nation. So, for example, my economic policies, I think of it and I've named it as creating an opportunity economy. So it's about things like investing in small businesses. I love our small business.
All right, Tim, surely, Tim, you must recoil a bit when you see the way she responds to those kind of questions. I mean, she literally says nothing. It's just,
I don't.
It's just blather.
I don't, because this is the thing. You guys don't want to show Donald Trump's answers because they're even more word salad. It's lies and it's conspiracies and it's dangerous. And like, that's why we're not showing his interviews where he's lying about what's happening with Hurricane Helene right now, or the debate where Kamala mopped the floor with him. Here's the thing. Congressman Crenshaw wants your audience to think that the Republican Party right now is the same as it was in 2017, and that the Donald Trump administration will be the same as it was when he brought in a bunch of traditional Republicans to be around him in his cabinet and to work in his staff. And I'm sorry, that's just an imaginary world that the congressman wants to live in to feel comfortable. Because the world we live in now is all of those people. No, I'm sorry, Piers, let me finish. All of those people are gone now. And at the RNC at the box, the people around Trump are Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson. Tucker had a prominent spot to speak at the convention. Congressman Crenshaw did not. This new party is a nativist party that's going to be about mass deportations and tariffs and revenge on Donald Trump's enemies. If you don't believe me, listen to what Donald Trump says. And I just want to know why Congressman Crenshaw thinks that he understands where the party is better than Trump's own vice president, Mike Pence, who assesses this and says, no, this is not someone we can trust. Why does Congressman Crenshaw think that he knows better than Mike Pence about Donald Trump's character and what kind of policies he would put in place?
Dan, do you want to respond to that?
So it's just great to watch these people dodge facts, okay? You get something thrown right in your face, and they just dodge it and weave it and go around and say, what about Donald Trump? Look, my regular day job, okay? I install glass. I install commercial storefront for a living. That's what I do. I do this for fun. Now, if I were to go and install a bunch of storefronts somewhere and it's all jacked up and everything was broken, blah, 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 you get it, it was all wrong, we have to go back and redo it. And my boss came to me and said, why did you do this? Why didn't you do it properly? And I said, well, you know what? The ambitions of our company are such that we need to install glass to make the customer happy. What we need to do is to make sure and go and make sure the customer has everything that they need, to make sure that they get what they want. When they pay you guys, when they pay us to do the job right, and we do the job right, the customer is happy. And when the customer is happy, everything is copacetic. Everything is just great. If I were to answer that question for why I screwed everything up, I would get fired. Now, if I were to go and answer that question and say, how about a raise, boss? Once again, I would be fired. He would look at me very confused. This is what Kamala Harris is doing, and these people, like, he just, Donald Trump is bad. Like, no, that's not, you're not answering the question. Neither does Kamala Harris, right? Like, I can see both sides of the equation here. I understand why people don't like Donald Trump. Look, hey, I get it. I didn't like Donald Trump that much either. However, you know, I didn't pay attention to politics once again, during Donald Trump's presidency. I just know the economy was good. Once I started paying attention to politics, like I saw January 6th as a bad thing. Fighting with cops is not good, and I'll still say that till this day, which January 6th is coming up in this debate, so I'm going to try to save some of that for that. But when they started going after Donald Trump for nothing, right? It was the documents case. And I'll say this, I'll try to do this quickly so we can get back to the debate. The documents case. I looked into that because I was like, hang on, doesn't the president have the plenary power to declassify anything? So hang on, how are they going after him on this? Why would the FBI raid him? I looked into the case, saw it was garbage. And I'm like, hang on, if this is garbage, let me look into the other cases. And that's when I started really paying attention to politics, and I started researching all this crap, doing my own research, looking up facts. It just blew my mind. The manipulations of the corporate press and these people to try to make you think Donald Trump tried to coup the government. January 6th wasn't a coup. If it was, then you need to answer a question. and for anybody that doesn't like Donald Trump and thinks January 6th was a coup, please answer this down in the comment section. When in history has there ever been a coup attempt by an unarmed group of people that stopped and went home and just said, screw it? When? No, it wasn't a coup attempt. People were just pissed. And ask yourself this. All right, the corporate press and the mainstream news, they go in on January 6th constantly. They still talk about it to this day. As a matter of fact, the FBI is still putting significant resources into going after peaceful protesters on January 6th. How come these people don't talk about the Summer of Love ever? And that insurrection that lasted for months at a time. How come they don't ever talk about May 29th? Oh, you might ask, well, what the hell is May 29th? That was when Antifa and BLM rioters firebombed St. John's Church right across from the White House. They firebombed the guard stations at the White House, forced Donald Trump into a bunker for hours on end, and we don't hear nothing but crickets about that insurrection. 100 and something cops were injured during that riot, during that insurrection. But nobody in the corporate press ever talks about this. They never talk about that insurrection. They never talk about the Summer of Love being an insurrection where federal courthouses were burned, where police stations were literally taken over and burned to the freaking ground. People were killed, $2 billion something worth of damage. They never talk about that. They only talk about January 6th, which one person got killed. At one of the January 6th rioters got killed. And everybody says, yes, the people fighting with cops was bad. You know what? Let's keep going because they get into that a little bit. Let's continue.
That's the question. And that's the question that people are going to be answering.
That's a damning non-answer, to borrow a phrase.
Mass deportations, a vast majority, that's not a non-answer. I'm the only one actually giving facts
here. It is a non-answer. Why do you know better than Mike Pence?
Is broadly supported by the American people, including Hispanics.
Why shouldn't we listen to Donald Trump's vice president as chief of staff?
So ask the question a different way then, Tim.
Why shouldn't we listen to Mike?
Them. I'm not here to answer for them. I'm here to answer for me.
Doesn't it alarm you?
I'm here to lay this out very simply.
You don't feel at all
for the American
alarmed
people and what the choices are.
Dan, you're not at all alarmed that the last administration ended with people storming the Capitol.
Let me.
Yeah, you know what happened. You know what happened after that? Because I was there. You know what happened after that? A few hours later. We did our jobs and we got back to business. You know what happened a few weeks later? Donald Trump moved out of the White House without a word. He didn't move out of the White House?
Well, no. It's not true because for starters, you didn't go back.
Am I confused or are you confused?
Who's shrieking now? For starters, you didn't go back to business. There were votes to overturn the election, and as you said, your colleague Ted Cruz of Texas voted on the side of the rioters. And then Donald Trump didn't go to the inauguration for the first time in history. He went home like a petulant child. I want to read something that Dan Crenshaw wrote. Here's Dan.
Okay, so you're mad that he didn't go to the inauguration. That's what it is?
He didn't. We didn't have a peaceful transfer of power. He didn't. In every other transition before this, the outgoing president, their team invites the incoming team in.
Okay, so
this is what we do in a normal democracy.
So let me just get this straight. Because he didn't sit there in January and watch President Biden get inaugurated.
No, Dan. Because
that's not a peaceful transition of power. That is such an absurd statement to make. But go ahead.
Okay, Dan.
I'm glad you're reading quotes from my book. I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Dan, fine. Then that's not the sitting there that I care about. How about when he sat there off the Oval Office for hours watching TV while a mob of people carrying his flag attacked police officers and stormed the Capitol? The President of the United States was not on the side of the Capitol Police. He sat there and watched his DVR and he ate his well-done hamburgers and did nothing. He did nothing for the Capitol Police that stood there because he was rooting for them to lose. That is not a peaceful transfer of power. That is Donald Trump's behavior that is unacceptable. And honestly, if anybody else in American public life was running against him, I would be for them, including you, including Nikki Haley, who I voted for, including almost all of the elected Democrats.
All right, listen.
That was unacceptable behavior, Dan. That was unacceptable behavior. Do you think
many people would agree with? I thought that was unacceptable behavior, but let's move forward
to Congressman. Congressman, was it unacceptable behavior for you?
I don't need to answer these questions again. I did an entire podcast calling it what it was. I did.
Yeah.
At the moment, I was calling it what it was.
I want to move anyway, Tim. I want to move to where we are.
Talk to somebody else if you want to get.
Let's move to where we are today. I want to ask.
You know, these people love to go in on January 6th, and it's outright absurd. They love to say, how come Donald Trump didn't do anything?
But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time.
Yes, he did do something. And let me poll the audience right quick. What do you expect the President of the United States to do? Did we really expect Donald Trump to go down to the Capitol and go into the crowd and tell these people to stop, right? They expect him to put out a tweet. Once again, I bring this to you guys. Anybody that gets behind the corporate press narrative and thinks January 6th was the worst day in history and Donald Trump didn't do anything, right? Okay, let me ask you this question right quick and see if this makes sense to you people. Okay, if you're rioting anywhere, it doesn't have to be just at the Capitol, but if you're in a riot, you're actively fighting with cops. Are you sitting there checking your phone to see if your dear leader sends out a tweet to tell you to go home? Are you really going to pay attention to your phone, or are you going to be paying attention to your surroundings because, hang on, you're in the middle of a riot fighting with cops? Like, this is ridiculous. The most stupid thing. Like, he did put out that tweet, by the way. Sure, he may have waited a little bit too long, but so what? Donald Trump couldn't do anything else. What else is he supposed to do? Seriously. Like, and a lot of people tend to forget, and I have to constantly bring this up, those people broke down the barricades and started fighting with cops before Donald Trump even left the rotunda, right? Before he was even done speaking. They were fighting with cops over here at the Capitol. How can you blame Donald Trump for starting that riot when he wasn't even done talking yet? Like, this makes absolutely no sense, and they can never reconcile that. Never. That's why you never hear about it. That's why these people in the corporate press never talk about this. And as a matter of fact, they totally ignore it and try to keep that information from you. And this is why my channel gets put into a box, because I'm constantly talking about this, constantly having to remind people that, hey, if you're in the middle of a riot, you're not going to be checking your phone to see if Donald Trump told you to go home. You're not going to be watching television to see that broadcast where Trump actually did say, go home, be peaceful. We are the party of law and order. All that good garbage from that clip that you just saw. He also said during his speech to be peaceful and patriotic, right? A patriotic person doesn't go and fight with cops. I am sorry. That is not the definition of patriot, for crying out loud. These people just make no sense, and they always have to redirect to the bad stuff Donald Trump does, right? Nobody is perfect, but Donald Trump is leagues better than Kamala Harris. I'm sorry. These people have been perpetuating the lies upon the American people constantly. They have to lie to you about Donald Trump, right? Like talking about abortion, for crying out loud. These people love to say, oh, well, you know, you don't want the government telling you what to do with your own body, do you? That's not what abortion is about, for crying out loud. It's not about the government telling people what to do. It's telling people what they can't do, right? That argument, this makes no sense, because you're taking a life. That is what you are doing. They're lie to you and say, oh, but they're trying to stop a woman's health care. They're trying to have a decision. No, I'm sorry. It's not about the government telling what you can do. It's about the government protecting life. That's what it's about. It's not about... It's just a ridiculous argument, and I could go in on this all day long. But, you know, these people just make no sense. They can't make their own arguments, so what do? They go in on Donald Trump. It's utter ridiculousness. But I want you guys to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section, because I would love to hear from you guys. You know, let me know how wrong I am, as a matter of fact. But I think I'm done on this one, y'all. I think I've made my point quite clear that they have no argument as to why we should vote for Kamala Harris, except it's Donald Trump. Yes, that is exactly why I am voting for Donald Trump. Because I can look past all the garbage. I can look past all the lies and the manipulations and see reality, for crying out loud. To think that these people aren't manipulating you, that they're not trying to lie about Donald Trump. The establishment is going to protect itself, y'all. But once again, I'm ranting again. So y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. And stay legitical. Peace.